Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to look at that interior northeast snowstorm that could dump about 2 to 3 inches of snow over that area, but it's really not going to be affecting them with too much snowfall. And then we're going to be talking about another system that looks to be more of a coastal entity that looks to actually come up the coast and kind of affect those coastal areas, including Philadelphia, DC, New York City, Boston, and then up the coast of Maine and into southeast Canada. So that one's definitely going to be a lot more interesting, and some models have it dumping over 6 inches of snowfall. I'm not ready to say that much yet. I'm not even ready to say where exactly that system's gonna be located, because some models have it far interior and other models have it off to sea, and then some models have it right in the middle, in that prime spot for the coastal areas of the Northeast. So we're really gonna have to see what happens. We're gonna be looking at the CMC model, the GFS model, and then also the European model with that storm system. Before we do get into it though, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you never miss a video when I upload. Now, here's the National Weather Service. You have air stagnation advisories. We've had these over a couple of days now over the Northwest. That's just going to be due to some reducing air quality. Then we have some dense fog advisories over Louisiana and Mississippi. And then we have over Southern California another area of dense fog advisories. Now you have winter weather advisories all throughout the south central part of the U.S., over southeast Colorado, and then into northern parts of New Mexico, the panhandle of Texas, and then in western Oklahoma. Flash flood watches over here for Arkansas and Oklahoma. Now, this batch of winter weather advisories and flash flood watches is all associated with that storm system that's going to be dumping up to 6 inches of snowfall over the Northeast, and it's going to quickly move out and into the Northeast within the matter of about 12 to 24 hours. So really, this snow is going to be in the Northeast by probably tonight, or if not this afternoon. So a quick moving system. Then also we have some lake effect snow, which we actually went a bit in depth in on yesterday. If you want to check out that video, and some models showing up to 2 feet of snow over these areas. And this is just the beginning of the lake effect. It's gonna definitely increase. Winter storm warnings over the UP of Michigan, and then also winter weather advisories surrounding that down into the lower peninsula of Michigan, and then also for Erie, Pennsylvania, where near Lake Erie, where you could also have some lake effect snowfall. And then we have some freeze watches over North Carolina and South Carolina, where you're seeing your first freeze of the season. Now, we're going to talk about that interior northeast snowstorm from the European model. So here's my surface map for this system, and I think it's gonna stay mostly rain south of this storm track, and it's gonna be mostly rain due to those warm temperatures. Temperatures gonna be in the 50s and 40s, 60s over these areas. South of the front, and then north of the front and behind the front, you're going to see temperatures 30s, 20s, teens over some areas. But for most of these areas, once you're in the teens, the precipitation has already moved out. But for the interior northeast, you already have that cold air in place, so you're going to stay mainly snow. And over New York City, Boston, into southern Pennsylvania and central Ohio, and then even a little bit of Indiana, you're going to be a wintry mix, and that's going to be mainly because you're going to stay mostly rain. It's going to be a bit too warm, but once that system moves a little bit farther offshore, you could see some banding, and that's going to actually lead to some snowfall on the backside, only for about half an hour to an hour. So definitely not going to accumulate, especially not on concrete. Potentially on some grassy surfaces, depending on how long that snowfall actually stays, but doesn't look to actually stay for too long. Now, here's your European precipitation, and you see those flash flood watches were because of that big band of heavy rainfall over the south central part of the U.S. And then you have this band of snow over here, and that's actually going to be what tracks into the northeast, and it's going to kind of merge with these. So you have your low pressure right here, you have another low pressure right around here, and they're going to kind of merge. You're going to have your snow over here, and then the rest are going to stay as rain for those areas, and then some areas again switching into snow on the backside. So as you get into tonight and then into tomorrow morning, you're really seeing that snow ramp up for the interior northeast, and then potentially somewhere between midnight on Friday and Friday morning, Friday about 6 a.m. to about 8 a.m. You're gonna see some snow showers on the backside, anywhere from about New York City, New Jersey, all the way up through about coastal Maine. So all those areas could see some back end mixing of snow. And then it kind of moves out into Nova Scotia and southeast Canada and brings some snow showers with it. And then it continues to move out by Saturday morning. It's pretty much all said and done. Now, here's your Kuchera snowfall rate. And this basically is the snowfall based on the temperature in the atmosphere. So it would be usually the average one is about 10 inches of snowfall equals 1 inch of liquid precipitation or 1 inch of rainfall. But since it's so warm in the atmosphere, it's most likely going to be right around a 12 to 1 ratio, or about 13 inch to 1. So it takes that temperature and it kind of creates a more accurate representation of how much snowfall you're going to see. And you see we have a good swath of over 2 inches all the way from northern Pennsylvania through about westernmost Massachusetts into New Hampshire and Maine. And then I want to show you how much is actually going to stick to the ground. So for the same time period, not the system is barely moving out now, and you're only going to have about a coating on the ground. Some areas seeing over 2 to 3 inches on the ground, but those are mainly higher elevation areas and areas that are colder as the colder passes. And I want to point out, you're going to be in the teens and 20s behind this, all the way to the coastal northeast. You're going to be in the 20s mainly, and then behind that, teens and single digits. So with this system brings very cold air with it. Now here's your next big snowmaker, and this is going to be your coastal entity that I was talking about. So here's your European model, and you see this is where your system is originating from, up here in the northwest or the southwest part of Canada near British Columbia and Alberta. It's kind of like an Alberta Clipper. It starts as an Alberta Clipper and it moves south, and then it merges with this southern this area of southern moisture, and it's gonna merge, and then it's gonna kind of stay far enough south that it could bring some snow to the coastal northeast. So we're gonna have to definitely pay attention to this, and it's gonna be this wide band. It's gonna start off, and then once it passes about Minnesota, Iowa, it's gonna kind of turn into this wide band where all the places on the backside will be seeing snow, and all the places pretty much in front of that will be seeing rain or wintry mix. And you could see wintry mix all the way down to the U.S. and Mexico border. Some models are indicating, including the European model. And this would be for Saturday morning. Snow showers and ice moving into North Dakota and Minnesota, and then it kind of moves out. But that was just one little clipper. Now the next clipper is coming in, and this is the big deal. This is the big system. And as this next clipper comes down over Montana and North Dakota by Sunday morning, you're going to see it really intensifies. By Monday morning, it's over the Great Plains, and then it moves southward. Now, by Monday morning, about Monday 6 a.m. or so, you're going to be seeing this band or this rain snow line develop, and that indicates a strengthening low pressure where it's meeting with this warm air, and that can really strengthen a low pressure. And you're going to see this is coming up from the Gulf. This moisture is coming up from the Gulf, so it has a lot of moisture to work with here, and that's going to actually lead to some pretty heavy downpours in the form of snow or rain. And now once it's over about the Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and the Great Lakes states, it's really intensifying. A good band of moderate to heavy snowfall over the central part of the country by Tuesday morning, and then it continues to move out. This would be for Tuesday afternoon, and this is what I was talking about, that rain snow line all the way down to the U.S.-Mexico border. Look at this pink and purple indicating rain and snow, or a mix, and then that blue indicating snowfall. And so some of these areas almost never see snowfall. Some of these places haven't seen snowfall in about a century. So it's definitely interesting how far south this snow is getting. And then you see really west of this is all snow, or just behind the front, and then in front of that, rain. So you're going to see how this, at least from the European model, moves through, and then by about Wednesday or Tuesday night, once you're getting home from your commute, you should be done with your commute by then. This would be about 8 p.m. Eastern time, and you see all the way from about Baltimore, D.C., up through Philadelphia, New York City, Boston, and then into Maine, you're seeing some moderate snowfall, and this is more of a coastal storm. It starts off as an interior storm, and then it moves to a coastal storm, as we actually see with a lot of systems. It transitions from rain to snow along the coast, and then it moves out by about Wednesday morning. But you see, you had about a 6 hour time period of snowfall, but it shouldn't accumulate to too much. You see, only about a dusting from this system, according to the European model, but many models actually have more than what the European is showing. The European is really like the middle model. It doesn't show too much snowfall, and it doesn't show too little snowfall, and that's why I'm agreeing with the European the most. About 1 inch from about DC all the way through Boston. So nothing too much, nothing too notable, but definitely your first accumulating snowfall. So that's definitely interesting. Now here's your GFS model, and you see it has it forming out of the north, and you see this really is your system. It's not too strong at this point. This little blob of snow is your system, and then it kind of forms together with that southern component coming out of a Baja California area, all that moisture coming out of the Mexico and right off the coast of the Pacific, and you're seeing that rain snow line starting to develop over parts of Kansas and Missouri, and then it's going to move as it's being pushed by this high pressure up to the north. So this high pressure is trying to move down and south so that it could bring that cold air right behind it. And temperatures behind this system could be in the negatives for some areas, especially over the Dakotas, Montana, and Minnesota. Now, as you continue, you see that heavy snowfall, but moving into the northeast, but mainly for the interior parts. The coastal areas really not seeing a lot of snow from this storm. So the GFS is showing this as an interior storm. This would be for Wednesday morning, and it's all out of here except for a bit of backside snow showers, and then it fully moves out. But I want to show you the GFS had a pretty strong low pressure, almost like a nor'easter. It had this southern area. This southern area is gonna actually, as we continue the model run, it's gonna move up and north. So this is the second component, and this is all related to each other. So this wants to move up and north, and that's pushing this out further faster. So if this southern component waited a little bit, and this cold air can move in, then you will be able to see snowfall on the coast, because that cold air is right behind the system. This is your 32-degree line, and you see it's very close to those big cities. But if you get that cold air a bit faster, or if this system doesn't develop at all or is farther back, you're definitely going to see snow on the coast. Now, this is going to move out as a fairly strong low pressure. You're going to be seeing a tight gradient there, indicating some some strong winds. And then you see this second system. So this is a low pressure right here, and this is kind of related to that nor'easter. And this one's going to move up the coast as well. Now, as we continue this, and you see how you have some very heavy thunderstorms over Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and then a little bit of Florida, and then it moves out, and you're going to see this system also doesn't show too much snowfall for the coastal northeast, but a lot for the interior northeast. And you see 983, 968 low pressure. So I would bet that there would be some 70-mile-per-hour winds in here, but I really don't think this is gonna play out with this is a very strong low pressure system, and we always see this from the GFS. It likes to play little tricks with us. It likes to go pretty insane with these storm systems once it really doesn't know what to do. If it really doesn't have a clue on what is going to happen. It really just throws something out crazy. So I'm not trusting the GFS on this one too much. And then high pressure retakes the northeast, and then you have some cold air behind it. Now you see a good area of about 6 inches, and then the coastal northeast from about New York City, probably seeing less than a dusting, and then all the way to Boston, where you could see about 2 to 3 inches from these two systems. Now, here's the final model we're going to look at, the GEM model / the CMC model. This is the Canadian model, so whatever you want to call it, has two nicknames. Now, it's going to move out over the same area. The GEM model has the strongest for the coastal areas. So this is your system, and it doesn't. You might notice it doesn't really have that first system come out of the north. So this system, it can just take control of this area, and it's gonna be in that prime spot according to the CMC model, and the CMC has been showing this consistently, so we'll have to see if the models pick up on this. But you're gonna see how it dives down by Monday morning, and then by about Monday afternoon, it's really setting up with that moisture coming out of Baja California, and then also the Gulf of Mexico. So it's combining with these two areas of moisture, and then it's gonna develop a rain-snow line, and it's gonna really intensify. You see freezing rain according to this model down into northern Mississippi, and then here, look. Keep your eye on the northeast and parts of the Great Lakes. So you see, by about Tuesday morning or Tuesday midnight or so, very early in the morning, you're seeing rain and snow all the way from Boston over to Connecticut, Massachusetts, into New York, northern New Jersey, and then most of Pennsylvania by this point, and then down through the Tennessee and Ohio Valley and into the southeast, and it's gonna continue from there. So Tuesday morning, your morning commute is gonna be absolutely a mess according to this model. New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, and DC, not so much DC, but many of those major cities seeing moderate snowfall by this point by about the morning time, your morning commute on Tuesday, and then by Tuesday in the afternoon, really heavy snowfall over parts of New York City and Boston, and then this gets down into DC by this point in Philadelphia, and then it starts to move out by a little by Tuesday night, but still there. And then finally by about midnight on Wednesday, or on Wednesday, it moves out. But Boston's still seeing some snowfall, and then by Wednesday morning, the snow is finally out of there. So that was a good about 24 hours of heavy to moderate snowfall. So well, some areas seeing lighter snowfall, but that's going to equate to about 6 inches over these areas. And you see it's still dumping snowfall over parts of Maine, and it's really just sitting there. So yeah, you see 6 inches over some of these areas. Some areas seeing close to 10 inches over here. So you see a good swath seeing about 6 inches over the coastal northeast. So this is really the high-end model for the coastal northeast. The GFS is the low-end model, and then the European is really in the middle, and that's kind of a mixture of both of them. So I just wanted to show you what multiple models are showing for this system, and I will have more updates. I didn't make a map for this system. I didn't want to kind of disappoint you guys if this doesn't play out, because honestly I have no idea what the system is going to do. The GFS is being unrealistic, the CMC model is being somewhat realistic, and the European is being fairly realistic. So it's hard to really decipher what's actually going to happen, and even though we're only about 4 days out from this system, still very hard with how the models have been forecasting lately, not been too reliable. Anyways, that was the video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications if you did really enjoy this video. Anyways, guys, that was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.